Hello and welcome to another video. We were doing indirect proportions in the last class, inverse proportions or indirect proportions. Let's continue with that. The intensity of this example says the intensity of a radio signal. I don't know what letter it is, but I think I is the letter is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. So I can write that I equals to k over d square. Given that the intensity of a radio signal is 0.03 at a distance of 32 meters, so that's 0.03, 32 squares. Find the intensity of the same radio signal at a distance of 8 meters. Okay, so 0.03 into 32 square gives me 30.72. So I equals to 30.72 over d square. So I is then 30.72. I want to keep a distance of 8 meters, so divided by 64. The intensity comes out as 0.48. Okay, inversely proportional as the distance decreases, intensity increases. Okay, this one is already defined for you. It says describe the relationship P of P and Q in words. So P is inversely proportional to the square root of Q. Okay, then calculate Q and P equals to 4. I think that's easy. Root of Q equals to 3. Square both sides. Okay, that was the last example. Example 10. P is inversely proportional to the square of L. P is 9 when L is 2. Okay, so they're all the same questions. Case 36. So I need a formula, so that's 36 over L squared. Find the values of L when T is 25. Sorry, this should be T. T is 36 over L squared for part B. Okay. 25 equals to 36 over L squared. L squared is then 36 over 25. L is therefore, if I take a root, I need to put both plus and a minus. So it's either plus minus 6 over 5. It's example 11 that I think is more challenging, and then example 12. Okay, example number 11 says when an object is falling, the resistance varies as the square of the speed. It's a direct variation question this time, as the square of the speed. So I'm going to write s squared. At a certain speed, the resistance is 30 newtons. Okay. What is that certain speed? Let's call that x. I don't know what x is though. Okay. What is the resistance when at twice this speed? So now the speed is 2x. So I'm going to again take this equation and tell you. So this question is a little different. It has unknowns. So A is then 4kx squared. From the previous equation, can you see what kx squared would be? So kx squared is 30. What would be the air resistance? That's 120. So it's more like simultaneous equations in here. Okay. Unusual question. So note this carefully. Let's look at part B. It says y is inversely proportional to x. Y is 6 when x is 4. K is 24. It's 8. Okay, I hope I've done this correctly. That's the last question, I think, for the chapter. Let's do this carefully. It says the length y is inversely proportional to the square of its height. write down a general equation for x and y. That's what I've already written. So that's part A. Let's look at part B. It says show that when x equals to 5, that's also part 1. Y equals to 4.8. So k is 25 into 4.8. That gives me 120. Okay, on the calculator. So y is then 120 divided by x squared. So x squared y is 120. Part B says find I when x equals to 2. So 120 over 2 squared gives me 30. Part C says find x when y equals to 10. So that's also simple. X squared into 10 equals to 120. I'm just using different versions of the equation to make it easier for me to solve. X is then square root of 12, which is plus minus, and you just learned how to simplify, so that's plus minus 2 root 3. Okay, find x when y equals to x. So I start off with this equation and say that this becomes x cube equals to 120. So this time I'll have to take a cube root of 120. I don't think that's a plain and simple number, but so I will have to use my calculator for this one. 4.93. Let's just describe exactly what happens to x when x is doubled. So I will have to again do the same thing. This was the relationship that I have between x and y. So x squared y is 120. Let's assume that x is first a and then x is 2a. Whenever you have such a situation, just make sure that you take new variables and then try to do the question. Okay, so this one's going to become a square y equals to 120. So y is basically 120 over a squared. When it's 2a squared y equals to 120. That's 4a squared y equals to 120. So 4y equals to 120 over a squared. Okay, so if I look at this, what is then happening is that 120 over a squared divided by 4. So what am I going to tell you? What happens to ai when x is doubled? So y is quartered then. Okay, y is divided by 4. Okay, this is describe exactly what happens to x when y is decreased by 36%. X when y is decreased by 36%. So this time you'll have to take values of y. So this has gotten very complicated now, and you should do this carefully. So I have x squared y equals to 120. So I'll take y as a, and then when I reduce it by 36%, it becomes 64% a, which is 0.64a. Let's plug in a first. So x squared is basically 120 over a. Then in the next phase, x squared is basically 0.64a, 120. So x is then 120 over 0.64a. So what happens to x? I don't know what happens to x right now. I will have to take a root for that to happen. What's the best way of doing it? So x was previously root of 120 over a. X is now root of 120 over 0.64a. Can I pull this root of 0.64 outside? What is root of 0.64? It's 0.8. So can I say that x is therefore 1 over 0.8 and 120 over a remains as it is? I'm just making sure that I'm able to compare this to this. Okay. What's 1 over 0.8? 1 over 0.8 is 1.25. So x Increases by 25%. 1.25 means increases by 25%. Okay, make x the subject of the formula. That's simple. X square y equals to 120. X square is equals to 120 over y. X equals to 120 over y. This last bit was a little tricky. Make sure that you understand this properly and then move on to the next topic. I will share some practice questions with you. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and keep in touch.